Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boots in the Field report. The temperatures are down, but the markets are up, so I can live with that. Today's question was asked at the virtual college last week, and it's actually been asked a couple of times in the yield map meetings already this winter. The question is, in certain soil types, we are seeing a inconsistent corn stand due to missing plants. Where do we start looking to figure out what we can do to fix it for next year? Well, to start off, being aware that you have consistent poor stands in certain areas is a good start. We have to admit we have a problem before we can fix it. In a yield map meeting, a grower may explain a poor yielding area on the map as a poor stand. That area always has a poor stand. My next question, I ask, how poor? The grower replies, poor. The word poor doesn't tell us much. The word poor for one grower may be a lot different for the next one. I'll ask them, what's the emergence counts compared to the planting rate, and how many ears did that area produce? The grower will say, well, I don't know, I didn't count it. My response would be, how do you know you had a poor stand? The typical response is, I can see it from the combine. When you can see poor stands from the combine, they are substantially poor. The problem with this situation is that the evidence to help answer the question cannot be answered by the yield map. The yield map can tell us where the problem is and maybe how much that problem is costing us, but that's about it. With the field harvested and in many cases tilled, all the evidence is gone, kind of like a contaminated crime scene. If the field is no-till, a visit back to the site may be helpful. Do actual stand counts with the stubble, and look at the plants for uniformity. Uniform plants would indicate uniform emergence. Poor stands and ununiform stalks may represent more than just an emergence problem. Dig some plants and look closely at the seed furrow. If you're dealing with sidewall smearing, it will still be present after harvest. Training combine operators to stop when they see spots like this and collect data while the crop is still there will improve the odds of identifying the problem. Taking actual stand and ear counts, taking pictures, can all help in answering the problem. When we get a question like this from our customers, it's usually a signal that they don't have a pest team. We encourage all operations to designate some of the labor force to cover the pest team. A pest team is responsible for all threats against the farm, from bugs, weeds to disease. The pest team needs a pest boss, one person, who has a handle on all things pest, who makes the call on pesticide applications, which fields get insecticide, fungicide. The pest boss doesn't have to do all the scouting, but he does need to make sure it gets done, whether it's labor from the farm or a service hired. On some operations, the pest boss and team consist of me, myself, and I. One of the important jobs of this pest team is to do stand counts and compare them to planting rates. This needs to be done right after emergence, looking at each hybrid and field and a good selection of soil types within the field. This data should be recorded and kept for diagnosis process. At this time, we can tell what the cause of the missing plant is. Is it planter issues, planting conditions, insects, disease, varmints? Once we know the problem, we can put a plan together to fix it. Yield maps are a great tool to tell us where to look in the field. Aerial images is another good tool to help us look. If the emergence is the problem, the closer to emergence you scout the area, the better the chances of identifying the problem. If it's insects or disease, picking a seed treatment that influences them is a good start. If it's seedbed related, maybe drainage is a better cure. Going through yield maps with a farm operation this fall, on one field we had 2 hybrids split in the planter. One hybrid was dropping off in yield in certain zones in the field. When asking about it, they knew exactly why. They saw it in the stand counts and investigated the problem. The stand loss was due to wireworm. They knew there were wireworm were there from previous years of scouting. Upon review, the hybrid in trouble didn't have a high enough insecticide rate on the seed treatment to stop wireworm, while the other one did. This small detail slipped through the cracks, but at least they knew the cause and how to fix it. This is an operation with a pest team. Designate some of your farm labor for this job and give them the time and the authority to do it. If that's not possible, work with your suppliers. Many will help in this area for their loyal customers, or hire a scouting service. Looking forward to seeing a lot of you in our agronomy meetings the next 2 weeks. Don't forget to get your yield files in here if you haven't already, so we can schedule your yield map meetings. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.